everyone, so today we're just going to use two cans, and the focus is going to be really on our upper thoracic, neck and shoulders. So it's a tricky enough area, so we're going to start off simple and make sure that we have the movement in our upper thoracic spine so that we can pain-free move and use our shoulders and arms. If your shoulders are really irritated or sore, don't do stuff that makes them hurt. It's not going to make it better. So be mindful and do what's comfortable for you. We're going to start off in sitting. You can sit on a chair if you prefer. And we're just going to get this focus on getting this area, our upper thoracic area, working. If you can really simply just imagine your thorax, so you've got your breastbone, your ribs, and then your thoracic spine. If you can picture that whole area like a slinky or a spring for the rest of the session, that would be helpful. If we are really tight and closed down at the front of the slinky, you won't be able to lift your arms overhead. So what we're going to try and do is open up the top of the slinky so that as you bring your arms overhead, the springs at the front can open, or the ribs, and your arms can move overhead freely without pinching or being sore. So we'll have a go. So starting off with a seated cat-cow, put your focus on your breastbone. If you can imagine a laser beam shining out of your breastbone, it can start off pointing down towards your thighs, and then think about your breastbone moving. So it's lifting, so the laser beam is going to point straight ahead of you, and then the laser beam is going to point up towards the ceiling as you lift your head. Start with the head, tuck your chin into your chest, bring your gaze down. The breastbone starts to lower, so the laser beam points straight ahead, and then it ends up pointing down towards your thighs or the mat. And again, start with the breastbone, so start lifting the breastbone so that laser beam ends up pointing straight in front of you, and then it ends up pointing slightly up towards the ceiling. If it's comfortable, you can look up towards the ceiling. Chin to the chest, turn your gaze down, and that breastbone starts to move back in again. See if you can go for 3 more like this, focusing on the laser beam going along the floor, up the wall straight in front of you, and up the ceiling slightly. Chuck the chin to the chest and bring that laser beam back down. So you're really trying to isolate an area that might be quite stiff, and it's definitely stiff in people that would spend a lot of time working at a desk or a lot of manual jobs like physio, which thankfully mine isn't stiff because I haven't had to do anything for the last week, so it's feeling good. Last one. And then bringing it here, we're going to add in a little bit of arm movement with that. So you're going to have your hands out, reaching out, fingertips towards the floor. You're going to start off with your shoulders real rounded in and breastbone pointing down towards the floor. Start to lift the breastbone. Picture your collarbones opening or stretching apart, and then the arms roll out so your palms face forward. And then we're going to start the movement at the breastbone again. Breastbone pulls down, laser beam points down towards the floor, arms roll in. Going again. We'll start to lift the breastbone. Picture your collarbones widening apart and arms roll outwards so palms face forward. And then breastbone starts to move back, so imagine that laser beam goes from pointing up to pointing straight ahead and then pointing down towards the floor. And go for 2 more. Breastbone lifts and your arms turn out basically. Breastbone lowers and rounds down and your arms swivel inwards. Last one. So just trying to get your upper thoracic spine moving with your shoulders and shoulder blades. Coming back to a neutral position, so the breastbone's looking straight ahead. Inhale to slide your shoulders up towards your ears as high as you can, and then exhale to roll them back and let them slide down. Let them roll forward again. Inhale to bring them up, roll them back, slide them down. And as you do this, it's okay for your upper thoracic and your breastbone to move. So as I pull them back, my breastbone looks up slightly. And as they round forward, my breastbone will point down slightly. So shoulders up, roll the shoulders back, let them slide down, and one more in this direction. So you're doing it nice and slow. You're trying to get all the muscles that might be a bit tight and stiff, bringing a little bit of movement to them. And then change direction. So draw the shoulders back, slide your shoulder blades up, let the shoulders round forward, and relax down. If it's sore, maybe you can do one arm at a time instead, if one side's sore. Or you can make the movement a little bit smaller. Now you got two more, or another nice option is just to lift your shoulders up and lower them down. And that'll get your neck muscles starting to move in a little bit more of a gentle way. Cool, and then last one, we're just going to do some stretches for the muscles that go from our neck down to our shoulder blade and neck to our sternum, so super important. So you're going to reach your fingertips out long. We've done these in the other lessons. Keep your chin tucked in and tilt your head away to the side. So I'm stretching the left arm and my head is tipping over to the right. I'm going to place my right hand lightly and gently on my head, just behind my ear. I'm going to tuck my chin a little bit more. So you should feel a stretch in the back of the neck, so the upper trap muscle. And just keep it here for 3 breaths. So as you breathe in, feel that expansion of your whole rib cage. You're taking a deeper breath in. And as you breathe out, think about everything being heavy, especially that left arm kind of reaching or relaxing towards the floor. And once you've done your 3 breaths here, you can keep your chin tucked and then imagine your chin turning up to the top left corner of the room. And keep turning until you feel a stretch through the front left side of your neck. So these muscles that go from your neck down to your ribs. And you can reach the left hand back a little bit more. Keep your chin tucked if you want to increase the stretch. And another 3 deep breaths here. So with your deep breath in, the intention is to get the rib cage moving, and these muscles do attach to your ribs. So it helps to mobilize them. The last breath here. Then turning your head back to the center, taking that right hand off and bringing your head back to neutral and doing the right side of this turn so you can see it from a different angle. Reach the right hand towards the floor, tilt your head over to the left, and then place, if it's comfortable, place your left hand just behind your ear. Tuck the chin so you start to feel the stretch through the back of the neck, so this area. And you're going for 3 breaths here. So 3 deep, slow, long breaths. And then keep your chin tucked and then turn your chin so it's going to look up towards the top right corner of the room until you feel a stretch through the front of the neck on that right side. You can reach the right hand back a little bit more if you want to increase the stretch, and then 3 breaths here. If you want to increase it more, you can turn the arm so the palm faces forward towards the front of your mat. Cool, and then bring it back to the center. Give your arms a little shake out, and we're going to come onto all 4s. So starting off with a cat-cow movement, and we're really, instead of focusing on our tail, we're going to focus on your breastbone again. So to start off, think about your head lifting, your breastbone lifting, and the rest of your spine just follows. And then focus on that breastbone lifting up as you round. So rounding our back towards the ceiling, breastbone lifts up in between our shoulder blades. And as we arch our back, our breastbone is going to reach down towards the floor and lift up to look slightly in front of you. So as you round, breastbone moves back into your chest, into that space between your shoulder blades. And as you arch, breastbone moves down towards the floor and then looks up in front of you. I'm just going for 2 more here. So you're just rounding, so you're going into flexion and extension, and your mind is focused on that area around your upper thoracic spine. So your breastbone is kind of the easiest point to focus on, I think, in that area. can, bring yourself to neutral. Hands are under your shoulders, knees are under your hips. You're going to take a can in your left hand. We're going to start off with a little bit of stability. So your right hand's important here. Spread your fingers and really press into all 5 fingers. Keep a soft bend in your right elbow. It's going to be stabilizing you this arm. So float your left hand off. You should feel your tummy turn on with just the left hand off the ground. If you don't, think about your front ribs hugging in or transferring your weight forward slightly. Bring your left arm to your side. Think about that left shoulder sitting back into the socket. And then from here, you're just going to do a simple tricep press or elbow extension. So just straighten the elbow and bend the elbow, and you're going for 8. You should feel your tummy working hard and a little bit of your obliques, so the tummy muscles to the side. And that right shoulder. Last 2. Last 1. Cool, bring the can down. Pass the can over to the other side. This time your left arm has that important stabilizing role. Spread the fingers. Really press through all of the fingers, especially your index finger and thumb. Keep a soft bend in your elbow. Right arm goes up by your side, so it's pinned against your waist. Think about that right shoulder sitting back into the socket, so it's not dropping towards the floor. And then you're just going to straighten the elbow and bend the elbow, and you're going for 8. So you got 6 more to go. Last 4. Keep breathing. Don't brace or hold. Cool. Pop the can down. One more exercise in this position is going to be, I'm going to give you 2 options. The easier option is going to be a row. So we're going to, again, press through the right hand, a bit of a bend in the elbow, and almost like you're pressing yourself away from the mat to prepare. The first one is just a row. So you're just going to bring your elbow to your waist and back down. Now, if you can, I want you to do this one called a fly instead. So you have a little bit of a bend in that arm. It's going to fly out to the side. Thumb faces forward. And we're going to go for 8 again. So if this one is uncomfortable, go back to the row or the tricep press, whichever you prefer. Last 4. And last one. Cool, give that right wrist a shake out and swap over to the other side. So spread your fingers, left hand's planted down. Again, go back to your row or your tricep extension if the fly exercise is too hard. Starting with a soft bend in the elbow, thumb is facing forward. And it's just like your elbow is being pulled out to the side, pointing up towards the ceiling. You're trying to keep your head in line with your spine and not let it drop. Last 3. Last 1. Cool, and relax it down. Give your wrists a little bit of a shake out, sit back onto your heels if you want for a moment, and give your wrists a circle around. The last one we're going to do in this type of position on our hands is a plank. So I'm going to start you all off with your knees down and then give you modifications. If you're sore putting weight on your wrists, you can go onto your forearms, and you just won't be using the can, unfortunately, if you're on your forearms. Otherwise, I want everybody on their hands. Bring the can to the left side or just right beside your left hand. You're going to bring your hips forward so there's a nice line going all the way from your knees, which are on the mat, all the way up through to the crown of your head. You're going to press through your hands so your breastbone is not going to sink towards the floor. And then from here, you're going to transfer your weight into the right arm. It's going to keep you steady. And you're going to roll the can over to the right. Transfer the weight to the left arm to keep you steady as you roll the can over. Very hard to talk and do this. And now if you want to progress, you just go up into a full plank. You can have your feet quite wide. We're going to go for 4 more, so whichever plank you're in. Last 3. The slower you make the passing of the can, the actual harder it is on your core. Last 2. Last 1. And relax down. Give your wrists a little bit of a shake out. And we're going to bring our bum back to our heels. Our knees are open wide. And we're going to go into a child's pose with our hands reaching forward today. So take in 5 deep breaths here. Breathing in, feel your rib cage expand, open up. And breathing out, let everything relax. So think about your head and your upper body just being relaxed into the ground or being supported by the ground. Walk your hands over to the left side of the mat. Right hand on top of left, or just beside it if that's enough of a stretch. And 3 breaths here. Focus on breathing into that right side of your rib cage. And then expanding and opening up on your breath in and relaxing as you breathe out. If it's hard for you to relax, just think about the right arm being heavy or being supported by the ground and your head. And then walk the hands over to the right side of the mat. Same thing, focus on that left side expanding, opening up with your breath in. And then focus on the head and especially that left arm softening and being supported by the ground on your breath out. Bring your hands back to the center. From here we're going to come up into standing. You're going to need both cans eventually, but just bring them in front of you. Pop your hands on the ground, tuck your toes underneath. And if you can, plant your feet and then walk your hands back towards your feet. Here you're in a forward fold. You're going to press through your feet and start to round back up. Use your hands on your legs if you need. At the end, you let your breastbone lift so it's looking forward. And your shoulders open and your head is tall. Just a little bit of mobility here. The arms are quite floppy and relaxed. We're going to nod your chin to your chest. Your breastbone moves back and your arms turn inwards. So the palms are facing back. And then from here, we're going to think about the breastbone lifting. So that laser beam points forward, the collarbones open, and the palms end up facing forward. Chin to the chest. Breastbone moves back, or that laser beam ends up pointing down towards your mat. Arms swivel inwards. And then breastbone starts to lift. Collarbones open wide as the arms swivel outwards, palms face forward. And just go for 2 more at your own pace here. Again, you're trying to bring awareness to that upper thoracic area that might be used to just being stiff and not moving. And that's its setting. And you're trying to give it a few more options for movement. From here, we're going to do an overhead reach and a forward fold, and then we're going to get into some arm strengthening exercises. So as you lift that breastbone and the arms swivel out, reach your arms overhead. And then nod your chin to your chest. Bring the arms down through the center as you fold forward. 2 more of these. Press into the feet. Start to round back up. And as that breastbone starts to lift, the arms turn out. Arms reach overhead. Bring them down through the center. Nod your chin to your chest. And last one of these. At your own pace, press into your feet. Start to round back up through your spine, keeping a soft bend in your knees. Breastbone lifts, arm lifts. And then rounding back down. And this time when you go down, you're going to pick up your cans. And we're going to start in a wide stance. And your feet can be slightly turned out. Going to do a shoulder exercise. So you're going to have your arms or your cans starting by your side. Check where this breastbone is. So if it is slumped and the laser beam is pointing or shining down towards the floor, you might pinch your shoulders a little bit. So I want the laser beam to be shining straight ahead. You're going to lift your arms out to the side. You're going to bring them forward in front of your chest. And then you're going to bring them all the way overhead. And remember that that breastbone needs to be allowed to lift. So if you're bracing and holding it down, it's not going to work. And then from here, you're going to lower the arms down so they're in front of your chest again. That laser beam is pointing straight ahead. You're going to bring the arms out to the side. And if you want to break, you can lower them back to your thighs. If you're still up there, you can stay up there, that's fine. Bring the cans together. Cans move overhead. Breastbone is allowed to lift a little. Bring the arms down, breastbone points straight ahead. Arms out to the side. Optional to lower the hands back to your thighs now or hold them here. Lift the arms again if they've been down. Bring them forward in front of your chest and overhead. We're going to go for about 6 more rounds of this. I will lower my hands each time for the next 6 rounds, but you can keep the arms up there as I lower and lift. So pick whichever option you want. Keeping them up there is harder. Notice what your arms feel like as you're going through these movements. Notice if one arm feels tighter or heavier than the other. And if it is, that side of your kind of upper back and neck can often be a little bit tighter. So it's almost harder work for the arm to move if you're tight through your upper back on that side. I think we've got about 3 more left. Breathing the whole time will help this as well, although it's hard to think about everything. So if you want, just focus on the movement. I'm inhaling as I'm going up and forward. You can hold for an exhale. And then inhale as you lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale to go out to the side and lower down. So you don't have to match each movement to a breath because the exercise isn't that slow. Just be aware that you're still breathing and you're still quite relaxed. Last one. So you might still be holding up here, that's fine, as we lower and lift. If you want to stay here, you can. You can turn your thumbs so the cans and your thumbs are facing up. And then you can turn them so that the cans are facing forward. And you can go for 3 or 4 of these to work your rotator cuff muscles around your shoulder. You should feel a burning kind of achy sensation around the back of the shoulder more so. If you feel any pain at the front, I don't want you to do this one. Lower the hands down and just take a break. Last 2 of these guys. Now remember that spinning motion comes from the shoulder, so the ball of the shoulder is rotating in the socket. And that's mine tired, and you can lower it down and just give the arms or the shoulders a shrug around. Next one, you're going to be in a different stance, so you're going to bring your feet closer together. And again, listen to your arms. If it's sore, don't push it. You're going to be in a chair pose almost from yoga, so feet are together. You're going to sit your hips back, so you'll be working your legs a little bit in the sky. And you're going to start with the tops of the cans and your thumbs facing up or forward. So from here, we're going to lift the cans overhead, straight in front of us. Our breastbone is allowed to lift a little with that movement. We're going to lower the cans down. So that's called an I. And then we're going to go for a Y, which is out at a wider angle. And down. And then last one, the palms, the back of the hands are going to face the ceiling. And you're going to lift the arms straight out to the side, and that's your T. So this exercise is called an IYT. You've got your I, thumbs up, your Y, thumbs up, and your T, thumbs facing forward. We're going to go for another 6 rounds. And this is working the muscles around the back of your shoulder blade. If your legs are getting a little bit sore, you don't like this challenging position with the chair, you can come up into standing. You can straighten the knees slightly to take the load off the legs. But it's better that your torso is leaning forward slightly, because it just makes it a little bit harder. If you want to make it harder again, I think we've only got 3 left, you can sit down into your chair pose more. And you can see it's a little bit more of a faster movement. These aren't stabilizing muscles we're working, they're bigger, more powerful muscles in our upper back. So their job is a little bit different. That's why it looks a little bit different when we use them in exercises. Last one definitely. Maybe we've done a few extra. Cool, and then give your arms a little shrug around, nod your chin to your chest, keep a soft bend in your knees. Keep the cans in your hands and just stay here for 3 breaths. Your knees can be as bent as much as you need. Then press through the feet and round back up. We got one last exercise to go. You're just going to need 1 can for this one. We're going to do a reverse, a lunge, and an overhead press. So if your shoulder's sore, just leave out the overhead press. So I've got my left can resting on my left shoulder, and my right leg is going to stay planted in front all the time. So we're going to shift our weight to the right, take our left foot off, and make sure here, if you think about your torso like a slinky, we don't want it to collapse to one side to try and help you balance. So think about the slinky with lots of space in between the springs. Shift your weight to the right leg, keep that space throughout the slinky, step your left foot back and go down into your lunge and push back up. And we're going to go for 3 just like this, just to get used to the movement. And then we're going to add in our overhead press for the next 3. So you're going to step back, go down into your lunge, and as you push through that right leg, your left hand is going to push overhead. Bring it back down. 2 more like this. And remember, when your hand goes overhead, it's important that your breastbone is looking forward or almost slightly up. Now you can keep the can overhead if that's okay for you, and continue with 4 more lunges. So we're doing 10 in total, maybe 1 or 2 more. We're definitely on our last 2. You can start to feel the right leg, maybe the butt and the quad working. And then bring your hand down and swap the can over to the other side. So start with the can here, you're just resting on your shoulder. That's my knee clicking. Shift to the left. Press down through the left leg and think about loads of space through your torso so you're not going to collapse or compress that rib cage or slinky. You're going to step the right foot back, lower down into your lunge. Power through the left foot to come back up, and you're doing 3 like this just to get used to your balance. If you're very wobbly, make sure that that leg that goes back is going out wide enough to the side and it's not straight behind your left leg. Then we're going to add in our overhead press. As you push through the left leg, push the arm overhead. So this is an example of a full kinetic chain exercise. So you're pressing and getting power and energy through your foot, up through your pelvis, up through your shoulder blade, all the way up through the arm. And it's good to practice with light weights before you start adding on heavier weights. Then you can keep the arm overhead, a little bit more challenging. Think about the arm rotating out, so your thumb is facing towards your head. And that just engages the muscles around the back of that right shoulder blade. Last 2. Cool, and then bring the arm down. We're going to do 1 more set of those, so give your legs a shake out. You can do it whichever way you want. So you can do it with the can just here. You can do it pressing the can overhead each time you step to the top, or you can do it with the can held overhead. So whichever one you pick, you can do for the whole set. I'm going to do a mix, so I'll do 3 of each again. So starting with the can in your left hand, shift your weight to your right. Step the left leg back, lunge. So option number 1 for people. And then we're going to go into option number 2. If you're already doing it, drive through the foot, push the can overhead. And think about a nice bit of power through that front leg as it pushes you up this time. And then 4 more to go. And again, you can do these at your own pace. I've sped up this round a little bit. If you're able to speed it up, do. Last 2. Last 1. Cool, and then swap to the other leg. So give that leg a shake out. If you're still finishing your set, that's fine, take your time. I'm going to start with your can in your right hand. Shift your weight to the left leg. Give it a chance to wake up. And make sure that you're not using your back muscles or squishing that slinky or your rib cage, so there's loads of space there. Step the right foot back into your lunge. And again, you are doing whichever form of this exercise you like. I'm going to demo the 3 different options. Moving into option number 2, pressing the can overhead. Again, I'm going a little bit quicker on this round. You can if that's suitable for you. If it's not, just keep things slow. And option number 3, keeping the arm overhead, thinking about the muscles around the back of that shoulder blade, holding the shoulder blade against your rib cage for you. Last one. Bring it down, pick up your other can. Have a nice soft bend in your knees. Last little bit of a cool down. Nod your chin to your chest. Round your shoulders forward. And let your upper body and your head and your arms just slowly soften towards the floor. Take 3 deep breaths here. And then press into the feet, keep a soft bend in the knees. You can drop the cans actually and have a round back up. Let your shoulders lift up towards your ears, roll them back and down. Nod your chin to your chest. Let your right ear roll over to your right shoulder. And then let your left ear roll over to your left shoulder. And just do that 3 more times. Again, at your own pace. If there's a click or a clunk, it's okay as long as it's not sore. And one last little movement practice. You're going to stand your feet so they're almost as wide as your mat, and you have a real nice soft bend in your knees. I'm going to move away from the mat a little bit, or from the wall. You got your hands floppy, and we're just going to gently start to sway our hands from side to side. So we're gently swinging our torso or twisting our torso. Our arms are floppy, so we're doing this rotation with as little effort as possible. So hopefully with all our stretching, we've got a few of the muscles that tend to tighten and grip and stop us from moving. Hopefully we've got those loosened up. Now as the swing starts to get bigger, feel free to move through your legs and your hips as well, so your feet are not planted to the ground. Especially if you have a bit of an injured knee, you don't want to plant your foot as you twist your upper body quite quick. And then make the movement as big as you can. So the arms will get higher with momentum. Again, there's little effort in it, and you're allowing your hips and your knees and your feet to twist with you. And last 5. Cool. And then relax, and you can do that for longer if you want, but you're all done.